Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the middle, or the final match, Game 3, to see who's the winner at today's F&M. So as we're waiting for them to shuffle up and draw, we're just going to kind of go over some of the things that happened today. Obviously, Game 1, Merfolk had a pretty soft hand and didn't come out quite strong enough, but manages to close out Game 2 with a very strong Lord cantripping fish action, and we're looking forward to the exciting rubber match. What do you think are some of the fundamental plays, Mike, that are going to take us over the edge here?
Well, I think spreading seas is pretty powerful for the Merfolk player in this matchup. And, I mean, it really comes down, in any Merfolk game, to how many lords they see. That's definitely important. We didn't see the greatest showing out of Canadian Taxes last game, but 4 Mootable Hand's going to do that to you.
Very true, and it looks like we got a Wall of Omens coming down from the Canadian Taxes player, which, without any spreading seas, that'll do a pretty good job at snuffing some early damage, especially the turn 1 Mootable play. So it'll be interesting to see what the fish player follows up with. I guess, 2 out of 3 games he's led with a turn 1 Mootable, so I guess pivotal to his strategy is making sure that does not have summoning sickness for turn 2. So we've got an island, and it looks like we're going to be following up with an Aether Vial. That is not the explosive opening I think that we're looking for here.
An Aether Vial on turn 2 always reminds me of drawing a ley line on your first draw. It's just that really frustrating not being able to have it in your opening hand and then seeing it the next turn. It's just not nearly as powerful.
Yeah, it looks like we've actually got a Grand Abolisher in the Canadian Death and Taxes player from the sideboard, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm recognizing the art. So that's an interesting choice, especially with the Aether Vial in both players' decks. Yeah, that means there's no end-step shenanigans coming down from with the Grand Abolisher in play. And speaking of Aether Vials, it looks like the Canadian Death and Taxes player agrees with it, and says, I'm going to play one of my own. So let's see, he's going to shift the turn back. And what did I just see there in the Merfolk player's hand? It looks like there might have been a Torpor Orb from the sideboard of the Merfolk player. And that's a turn too late to stop that Wall of Omens, but that's an interesting choice. What do you think about Torpor Orb coming in? What do you think you took out for Torpor Orb?
I would guess the only thing that comes out in this matchup for him would be the Curse Catchers. They seem a bit weak in here, so anything that he sideboarded in would have probably been for Curse Catchers. Torpor Orb's, I mean, a bit of an interesting choice, because in the first 2 games, we didn't see any come into play creatures other than the Restoration Angel. Mm-hmm. Now we do see a Wall of Omens coming in here, but, like, the Torpor Orb shuts down his Silvergill Adepts and his Phantasmal Images, I believe. So, there definitely is some drawback to him playing that, and having only seen Restoration Angels from the other player, it is a little bit surprising to me that he brought them in, or he's brought the one in.
That's very true. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot of sideboard cards out of players, other than the Canadian Taxes player obviously having the Grand Abolisher in hand there. So I'm very curious to see when when he decides that he's going to drop that down.
Yeah, Grand Abolisher is surprisingly effective here. Since the Merfolk player is splashing white for the Path to Exiles, that Grand Abolisher will effectively turn those into sorceries along with the Vapor Snags, and like you said, it's going to shut down those Aether Vials. So a real interesting sideboard option that's going to pay off here.
Okay, so it looks like he played a Flickerwood. There's another Crumb into play ability, and he's going to draw another card from that. And it looks like he got a Blood Moon, and that Blood Moon looks like it could be putting in work with 2 Mutavaults up on the side of the fish player. Those could be mountains very quickly, so it's going to be interesting to see if the fish player is going to opt to play around those. And that is a Hallowed Fountain by the looks of things, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like he just paid the 2 life. Yeah, that is a Hallowed Fountain. So let's see what's going to come out of this. I don't think he's expecting the Blood Moon, so I wonder what he's going to commit here. Looks like he's thinking about a Path to Exile in hand. I'm pretty sure he's going to take the Flicker Wisp here. Let's see what he goes for. Yeah, there's the Flicker Wisp down. So I think the Canadian player is going to be, yeah, sure, I could use another basic for this Blood Moon in my hand. So there it is.
Odds are he played the Path to Exile on his turn to play around a potential 4th mana from Canadian Taxes on the follow-up. That way he wouldn't get blown out by a Restoration Angel.
Very true, and it looks like we got a Reejerey coming down, so that's Silvergill. Oh, a little bit of a showing there, tapping the Aether Vial a little preemptively. It looks like the Silvergill is going to get into the red zone, and I think the Canadian Tax player saw that, so it looks like he'll probably block, but I think he knows that Wall of Omens is probably going to go down here. Being at how eager the Merfolk player looked like he was going to tap that Aether Vial. And being that Canadian Tax player looks like he's tapped out, maybe there'll be an Aether Vial. No. Yeah, okay, so here comes the Phantasmal Image copying the Reejerey, making sure that Wall of Omens goes down. That's a nice block. All right, we're gonna tick that up, and we're gonna draw, and let's see what we got here. What does it look like he's got in his hand? Looks like I see a kitchen finks, a blood moon. I saw a grand abolisher and a lightning bolt. All of those things are pretty good here. I wonder what he's gonna follow up with. Do you think he should go with the blood moon, or do you think he should lead with something else here? What do you think?
Well, he's definitely got a stacked hand, and he's got a lot that he needs to deploy. Grand Abolisher being double white means that he might want to hold off on the Blood Moon, although he does have the Aether Vial. So if it depends on what he wants to deploy on this turn and how much he thinks Blood Moon is going to affect his opponent. Problem is that if he taps out for Blood Moon here, and his opponent has another lord that he can bring in off the Aether Vial, it could be a very punishing play, because if all he's doing is dropping down a Grand Abolisher on this turn, his opponent could be coming across for 10 to 12 damage.
Well, it looks like he opted to go with the blood moon, I should say, to shut off those two Mutavaults to hopefully negate some of that damage that could have been coming in from them. So now he's just got the two lords and the Silver Guild Adept, and it looks like he kept the vial on two. So we're gonna see what it looks like. We're gonna be contributing. Don't forget that that's a blood moon in play. So those are mountains. That does not produce blue, and I think that changes what he's gonna play. He taps the Aether Vial. And we've got another phantasmal image coming in, and we're just going to try and see what's going to be copying. It's going to be copying another Regery, so those guys are really big.
See, and that's definitely an advantage there to the Blood Moon, because if he was able to cast that phantasmal image from his hand, it coming in as a Merfolk meant that he would have been able to tap two permanents, or untap two permanents, as we just see when he played another Merfolk.
Yeah, it looks like we're just choosing how we're going to pay for that, so it looks like he just played Torpor Orb.
Oh, that was a Torpor Orb.
Yeah, that was a Torpor Orb that came in from the board, so maybe he was feeling that the come into play abilities were in the deck, even though we didn't see them in the first two games. And it looks like we've got a path out there, and that's gonna pop the phantasmal image with no way to search the deck, because it has to be sacrificed as soon as it's targeted. So we've got some damage coming in, and that's obviously going to change up the life totals, and it looks like 18 to 12. So we're going to get an untap step here and take up the Aether Vial.
And here's where you really see that Torpor Orb is a double-edged sword, because he's got the double Merfolk Regery in play, and he's not going to be able to abuse that at all. Because of that Torpor Orb in play, sure, it's going to shut down some Restoration Angels potentially, but on an empty board, how relevant is Restoration Angel here anyway?
Very true. I mean, it is still a 3/4 blocker at the end of the day, but I see your point there. And he would be getting two activations off of each potential Merfolk if that Torpor Orb wasn't in play.
Exactly.
But it looks like the Canadian Taxes player is definitely taking the more controlling route here. Just simply untapping, drawing his card, and passing the turn. But I think the Fish player seems to be okay with that. I mean, he's got a pretty decent board. Those guys are all kind of big, and he feels pretty safe behind his Torpor Orb, knowing that there's not going to be any come into play shenanigans other than maybe potential blocks until he sees a Spreading Seas of some nature. So he's got the draw. He's got a couple cards in hand. We can't really see what they are.
Well, with a Vial on 3, we could be looking at Brimaz, a Flicker Wisp, or possibly a Kitchen Finks.
That's very true. It looks like we're going to see a path come out, and that's going to target the Phantasmal Image, which unfortunately means it's got to be sacrificed. So no land again, and Guide of the Lord down. And then we've got a second play, and that looks like a Disenchant hitting the Torpor Orb, which is going to be, I would imagine, pretty relevant if he's got a 3-drop in his hand here. So does he have a response to that? No, he doesn't. So Torpor Orb's going to the graveyard. And then this Tectonic Edge, it looks like it's going to be tapping for red thanks to Blood Moon, and it's going to be hitting the Regery, which is at this stage of the game, unless he's got another Lord in his hand, is going to be killing it. And he opts for the Vapor Snag, so he's going to take a damage to himself, but he's going to save that Lord and put it back in the hand. And then here comes the activation of his Aether Vial, and Kitchen Finks. So timely removal of that Torpor Orb is going to net him some life and allow him to block here, and he's going to get to keep a guy. Oh, we've got a response, and that's a Merfolk with the Pearl Trident, but blocks are still good, and they're still going to trade, and the Canadian player is going to gain another 2 life. So, yeah, we've got a lot of action going on here. It's an interesting board state. We know that the Merfolk's player got another Lord in his hand, and it looks like a mana in the Lord is the only thing that he has at this time, but let's see what the Canadian Taxes player is going to do. He's got the 2 white coming down for Grand Abolisher, maybe? Is that what he's thinking about his play here? What do you think? What do you think? It looks like he's got is that a Mangara? It looks like it's a Mangara. Oh, that is certainly a Mangara. What do you think of the Mangara play here?
Mangara is certainly interesting. I mean, the ability to exile anything is always going to be relevant. That Blood Moon's really doing some work here, though. Shutting down the 2 Mutavaults is completely neutered the Merfolk board here.
That's very true. Yeah, especially with now the interesting thing is that having the Aether Vial on 3 for the Canadian Taxes player, it's surprising that he didn't opt to bring Mangar in on the end step, perhaps with the Aether Vial and just play out the Grand Abolisher that was in hand, or maybe potentially bluff a Restoration Angel for his Kitchen Finks. But it looks like he's going to get in there with the Master, and oh, we find out why he didn't. That's a Brimaz blocking the Master of the Pearl Trident by the looks of things. And we're going to figure out, I think it's the token's going to go down. Yeah, the token is definitely going to go down here because I don't think he wants to assign his damage to Brimaz. So that's that. Brimaz gets to stay, and this is not looking good for the fish player. I definitely think that he is in some trouble here, especially with that Blood Moon, and he is looking at a lot of power with the option to have any of his best things that come down now exiled by Mangara. So Mangara looks like it's going to be a nail in the coffin, and that Grand Abolisher definitely is not going to help the Merfolk player in any capacity. So what do you think what could be the line of play to help get the Merfolk player out of some trouble here? Do you think there's anything at this stage that can really help him close out the game or get him back in the game a little bit more effectively?
There's not too much. I mean, Merfolk's definitely a tempo deck, so they need to be on the board to begin with and try to keep the aggression going. If he had had another Lord on the last turn, he would have at least been able to trade off the Brimaz, and that would have definitely helped his board state. But with things looking the way they are, unless he's brought an evacuation, I don't see things turning around.
Yeah, looks like he's in a pretty rough spot. I mean, 2 cards in hand. I'm pretty sure one of those is a land and a Vapor Snag. And it looks like he might have just drawn... Oh, sorry, he only had 1 card in hand, so it looks like a Vapor Snag and a Cavern of Souls. And that was a pretty weak gesture to ship the turn. And it looks like we're going to have all the guys come into the red zone here. That's a lot of damage. Making another kitty, also getting into the red zone. And he can't really respond to that because of the Grand Abolisher, so he basically just has to take that. He goes to 2, and I think we're looking for evacuation, or I don't know what it would be. I don't even think he has enough mana to cast it. Nope, and that's it. That is the end of the game. It looks like Canadian Taxes took it in 3. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Mike, thanks for coming out and doing the commentary with me.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, and the winner is Canadian Taxes.